Supreme Court agrees to simplify the process of passive euthanasia. This process was created in a 2018 decision. Passive euthanasia is thought to get rid of unbearable pain. Government of India gave notice to Pakistan. The aim is to amend the 6-decade-old Indus Water Treaty. This treaty was done after the mediation of the World Bank. The general budget for the financial year 2023-24 was presented in the Parliament. 7 priorities identified in the first budget of Amrit Kal. Many announcements, including change in slab and income tax. New plateau discovered in Western Ghats. This plateau is listed as the 4th type of plateau. 76 species of plants and shrubs were also discovered here. And Earth's inner core is spinning slowly. The research published in the journal Nature Geoscience. Next change in inner core motion likely in 2040. Recently, the Supreme Court has agreed to simplify the process of passive euthanasia in the country. This consent was given by a 5-judge constitutional bench while considering an application filed by the Indian Council for Critical Care Medicine. In this case, the bench has accepted the need to amend the guidelines of living will. In fact, it was said in the application that the existing guidelines have become impractical. Therefore, there was a demand for amendment in the guidelines of living will or advanced medical directive. Let us tell you that the Supreme Court, in its decision of the year 2018, had accepted that death with dignity is a fundamental right. Along with this, the court had legalized passive euthanasia and living will. In the same judgment, the apex court had also issued guidelines regarding passive euthanasia and living will. According to the guidelines, a living will can be made only in the presence of 2 witnesses and a judicial magistrate of the first class. With regard to these directions, the bench had said that they would remain in force until the Parliament enacts a law in this regard. If a person is in a state of unbearable pain and suffering due to a terminal illness, or if the person is in a coma for a long time, then euthanasia is sought to get relief from it. In such a situation, with the consent of the relatives, the doctors switch off the life-saving equipment of the patient. After this, his life comes to an end. However, many consider active or passive euthanasia to be murder. On the other hand, a written legal document written for euthanasia is called a living will. In this, the patient gives instructions in advance that what kind of treatment should be given to him in the event of reaching death or not being able to give consent. It also lists the patient's preferences for other medical decisions, such as pain management or organ donation. Recently, a notice has been issued by the Government of India to Pakistan. Its purpose is to amend the 6-decades-old Indus Water Treaty. India says that it is committed to implement the Indus Water Treaty in letter and spirit, but Pakistan is not following it seriously. In this notice, India has given Pakistan 90 days for intergovernmental talks regarding the violation of the treaty. According to experts, this notice is the result of a long-running dispute over 2 hydroelectric projects. Actually, India was setting up runway water power project on the Kishanganga and the Chenab River, on which Pakistan objected. Also, in the 2015 meeting, Pakistan had demanded that the appointment of a neutral expert should be there to investigate technical objections to the project. But the very next year, Pakistan unilaterally withdrew from this demand. After this, in the year 2016, Pakistan approached the World Bank and demanded the formation of the Court of Arbitration under the dispute resolution provisions of the treaty. India objected to the matter and filed a separate application for the appointment of a neutral expert. Let us tell you that the provision for the appointment of a neutral expert is present in the 1960 treaty, and at the same time, India argued that the request to the Court of Arbitration violates the dispute resolution provisions of the treaty. After the Ori terror attack in the year 2016, this matter got intensified, after which India talked about withdrawing from the Indus Water Treaty. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister suspended the regular talks and said that blood and water cannot flow together. Apart from this, Pakistan had refused to discuss the issue in the meetings of the Permanent Indus Commission from 2017 to 2022. Recently, on the demand of Pakistan, the World Bank has started action on this. Let us tell you that the Indus Water Treaty was concluded in 1960 in the arbitration of the World Bank between India and Pakistan. In this, the World Bank was also present as a signatory. Under the treaty, control of the western rivers, that is the Jhelum, Indus and Chenab, has been given to Pakistan. India has the right to generate electricity from the flowing water of these rivers, but doesn't have the right to stop the water or change the flow of the rivers. At the same time, the control of the eastern rivers, that is the Ravi, Satluj and Beas, has been given to India. India has the right to make projects, etc. on these rivers, on which Pakistan cannot oppose. Recently, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has presented economic survey for the financial year 2022-23 in the Parliament. In this, the outlook for India's growth, inflation and unemployment, etc. has been presented for the past year and the coming years. According to the survey, India's economic recovery has been completed since the pandemic. The Indian economy is poised to grow at a pre-pandemic pace. The economy is expected to grow in the range of 6 to 6.8% in the coming financial year 2023-24. However, this projected growth rate is lower as compared to 8.7% for fiscal year 2021-22 and 7.0% for fiscal year 2022-2023. In the survey, the GDP growth rate for the financial year 2023-24 has been estimated at 6.5%. Along with this, it has been said that the pace of economic growth will also be fast during this period, as capital investment in India is expected to increase in the financial year 2023-24, along with the strengthening of the balance sheet of the corporate and banking sectors. However, in this concern has been expressed about CAD, that is current account deficit. In this context, it is said that India's CAD may increase due to increase in global commodity prices. Also, citing recent data from the RBI, it has been told that the CAD increased from 2.2% of the GDP during April to June period to 4.4% of the GDP in the quarter ended September due to higher trade gap. However, it is also said that global commodity prices will come down in the financial year 2023-24 due to slow demand. Because of this, India's CAD is also likely to improve. According to the survey, the mainstay of economic growth during the financial year 2022-23 has been private consumption and capital formation. The capital expenditure of the central government increased by 63.4% in the first 8 months of the current financial year. The domestic inflation rate has been less than 6% because of this capital inflow has increased in India. At the same time, retail inflation was also under the target set by RBI in November 2022. Apart from this, the performance of the Indian currency during April to December 2022 was much better than the other emerging market economies. Broadly speaking, the survey says that in the financial year 2022-23, almost all sectors of the Indian economy have been freed from the effects of the pandemic. India is the 5th largest economy in the world in current dollar terms, whereas on the basis of PPP, that is purchasing power parity, India is the 3rd largest economy in the world. So in the coming March, the nominal GDP of India is estimated to be around $3.5 trillion US. Along with this, the survey states that India's demographic dividend and annual nominal GDP growth rate is expected to average around 10 to 12% in the coming years. Private consumption in the second quarter of financial year 2022-23 stood at 58.4% of GDP, which is the highest in the second quarter of all years since financial year 2013-14. Let me tell you that the economic survey is an annual report presented by the Ministry of Finance on the state of the economy. In this, an account of the country's economic progress and performance in the last 1 year is presented. All the main statistics related to the economy are presented in the economic survey. It is prepared by the Economic Division of the Department of Economic Affairs under the guidance of the Chief Economic Advisor. The first economic survey was presented in the year 1950 to 51. Till the year 1964, it was presented along with the budget. After this, it is now presented a day before the presentation of the budget. Recently, Union Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman presented the general budget for the financial year 2023-24. This is the last full budget to be presented before next year's general election. This year's budget focuses on inclusive growth. 7 priorities have been identified in this year's budget, which guide the economy like the Saptarishis: inclusive growth, reaching the last person, infrastructure development and investment, unleashing the potential, green growth, youth power, and financial sector have been included in Saptarishi. If we talk about new initiatives, PM Vishwakarma Kaushal Samman, that is PM Vikas scheme for traditional artisans and craftsmen, Pradhan Mantri PVTG development mission for vulnerable tribal groups, a mission to eliminate sickle cell anemia by the year 2047, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4.0 for skill development among youth for the next 3 years, and to promote natural fertilizer, PM Pranam, etc. were announced. Among the major announcements of the budget include the announcement of providing food grains for the next 1 year to Antyodaya and priority families under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, raising the maximum deposit limit for senior citizen savings scheme from 15 lakh rupees to 30 lakh rupees, proposal of new program for research and innovation in the field of pharmaceuticals, etc. Along with this, to promote Make AI in India and Make AI Work for India, establishment of 3 centers of artificial intelligence were also announced. If we talk about other announcements, it is worth mentioning that coarse grains, that is millets, will be named Shri Anna, and cleaning of septic tanks and sewers in all cities and towns will be done completely with machines was also mentioned. If we talk about the deficits included in the budget, then the fiscal deficit has decreased continuously after 2020-21 and is estimated at 5.9% of GDP for the current financial year. The same trend is being observed in revenue deficit, and for the current financial year, it is estimated to be equal to 2.9% of the GDP. At the same time, the effective revenue deficit seems to be reaching the pre-COVID situation, which has been estimated at 1.7% of the GDP in the financial year. The changes in taxation include increasing the tax exemption limit to 3 lakh, increasing the number of income tax slabs to 5, increasing the rebate limit in person income tax from rupees 5 lakh to rupees 7 lakh, etc. are important. Let us now take a closer look at the new income tax slab. As per the provision of the budget, there will be no tax on income of rupees 0 to 3 lakh, 5% on income of rupees 3 to 6 lakh, 10% on rupees 6 to 9 lakh, 15% on income of 9 to 12 lakh rupees, and 20% on income of rupees 12 to 15 lakh rupees, while income above 15 lakh rupees will attract income tax at the rate of 30%. Under the new tax regime, the ceiling on income tax surcharge has been capped at 25%. By doing this, the maximum burden of income tax on an individual will be limited to 39%, which used to be more than 42.5% earlier. Borrowings and other liabilities are still the largest sources of government receipts, accounting for 34% of the total receipts. After this, GST, corporation tax and income tax are the other major sources of income of the government respectively. On the other hand, if we talk about government expenditure, most of the government's money is spent in interest payments, while the state's share of taxes and fees and expenditure on central sector schemes are other major destinations of government expenditure. Recently, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has congratulated IISc, that is Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, for making a record of patent in the program Mann Ki Baat. During this, the Prime Minister praised IISc and said that it has presented a wonderful example in the matter of patent registration. In fact, IISc has obtained a total of 145 patents in its name. This figure is the highest compared to other at the domestic level. Significantly, the number of patent applications in India is increasing continuously. Data from the Department of Industry and Internal Trade shows that a total of 19,796 patents were filed during January 2022 to March 2022. Of these, 10,706 were filed by Indian applicants. while 9,090 were filed by non-Indian applicants, and after this, out of total 57,783 applications till December 2022, about 30,000 were from non-Indians. In this way, Indians are beating foreigners at the level of patent filing in India. Let us tell you that in the view of any creation done by a person or persons, exclusive rights are granted to that person or persons. This is commonly called intellectual property rights. It is generally divided into two parts. In this, the first is called copyright, while the second is known as industrial property right. Of this, patents and trademarks come under the industrial property rights. In India, protection is provided to registered trademarks under the Trademarks Act of 1999. While in the context of the Patent Act of 1970 applies. The patent system is administered under the Superintendent of the Controller General of Patents, Designs, Trademarks and Geographical Indications. The Act was amended in the year 2002-2005. These amendments were made to fulfill India's obligation under the TRIPS, that is, Trade-Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights Agreement. Product patents after amendment are being granted for food, pharmaceuticals and chemical products. In this way, from the year 2005, India also started giving patents on medicines. Recently, a new plateau has been discovered in the Thane region of the Western Ghats. This discovery has happened in the Manjari village of Thane. It has been discovered by the scientists of Agharkar Research Institute. According to scientists, it is a basalt plateau of low altitude. It is then listed as the fourth type of plateau. Scientists have also discovered 76 species of plants and shrubs here. It is being said about the discovered species that it can prove to be helpful in detecting the effects of climate change on the existence of species. The survival of plants in this open and mostly dry area is an important feature. Therefore, they can be used to learn about plant survival under different environmental conditions. According to scientists, they are also trying to find out what role genetics play in the survival of plants in hostile environments. If there is a gene that helps these plants survive, it can be used for crops. Actually, these plants have grown between the rocks. Because of this only, limited soil is available to grow them. Due to the depletion of soil, their water holding capacity also decreases. So they have to face harsher environment than other species. This limits their nutrient availability. Let's tell you, the Western Ghats is a global biodiversity hotspot. Its extension is about 1600 kilometers in length, parallel to the Arabian Sea coast. It extends from the mouth of the Tapi River in the north to Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala and Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu. In Maharashtra, it is known as the Sahyadris. Its average height is about 900 to 1600 meters. The major peaks here are the Mahabaleshwar, Kalsubai and Harishchandra. Significantly, till now only 3 types of plateaus were known in the Western Ghats. These are known as high-altitude laterite plateau, low-altitude laterite plateau and high-altitude basalt plateau. Recently, a study has been published in the context of the Earth's inner core. This study has been published in the journal Nature Geoscience. In this, the seismic waves of the last 6 decades have been analyzed. According to this analysis, Earth's inner core started rotating slightly faster than the rest of the planets in the early 1970s. But around 2009, the core's rotation speed slowed down in order to keep pace with Earth. It has been a negative trend of the inner core since then. This means that the inner core is now rotating more slowly than the Earth's surface. The researchers estimate that the next change in the motion of the inner core may occur in the mid-2040s. However, in the context of this study, other experts of the world have spoken of caution about its findings. They say that this study is based on a mathematical model. Because of this, there are possibilities of it being wrong, because only observed data has been used in it. Let us tell you that the core is the innermost layer of the Earth. It is mainly composed of nickel and iron. That's why it is also known as night. The core extends about 5,000 kilometers below the Earth's surface. Its temperature is around 2700 degrees Celsius. Also, its outer part is liquid and inner part is in solid state. It is divided into 2 subdivisions called the outer and the inner core on the basis of P waves. However, there is no complete information about the internal structure of the Earth due to lack of sufficient scientific evidence, and most of the information available about it is given on the basis of estimation. Because the radius of the Earth is about 6,378 kilometers, and so far, the deepest excavation has been done only up to 12 kilometers. This death was done in the polar region of the Arctic Ocean. Therefore, in the absence of direct evidence, scientists depend only on indirect evidence to study the internal structure of the Earth. Recently, a study was done by the National Center for Earth Science Studies, that is NCESS. In this, the plight of the Munro Turutu Island has been attributed to the anthropogenic interferences. In fact, the people living on this island are facing land subsidence, tidal flooding and low agricultural productivity. As a result, large-scale migration is being observed from this region. As per the study, Munro Turutu area has recorded a decrease of about 39%, while Peringalam and Cheriakadavu islands have recorded a decrease of 12% and 47% respectively. Unregulated sand mining and the resulting riverbed pool in the Kalladda River have contributed largely to the current decline. The research calls for suitable strategies to protect the highly sensitive coastal ecosystem. It proposes reverse landscaping to restore the original geomorphic condition. The study says that strict regulatory measures should be adopted to control sand mining from Ashtamudi Lake and the Kalladda River. Also, the existing construction methods in the island should be replaced with new engineering techniques. Apart from this, it has been said in the research to adopt artificial sedimentation process to eliminate deep valleys. Let us tell you that Munro Turutu is an inland island group located at the confluence of the Ashtamudi Lake and Kalladda River in the Kollam district of Kerala. It was named in honor of Colonel John Munro, a resident of the erstwhile princely state of Travancore. It is a group of 8 small islands with an area of about 13.4 kilometers, and this island is also known as the Drowning Island of Kerala. The Jatar Deul Temple, located in the Sundarbans of West Bengal, is facing a threat. For the last few years, the effects of climate change is being seen on it. Especially, the increase in the salinity of the air is slowly eroding the outer walls of the temple. However, Archaeological Survey of India has talked about its restoration and conservation plan. According to IISc, it will start the scheme by the end of this year. Actually, this temple is built in an empty ground. Also, it is located just a few kilometers away from the sea. This is the reason why the cold winds coming from the sea collide with the temple. Earlier, the trees present here used to protect the temple from the sea winds. But in the year 2020, these trees were destroyed by the tropical cyclones. Due to this, the security provided to the temple was also destroyed. We should inform you that the Jatar Deul temple was built in the 10th-11th century and it is known as the Terracotta Temple. It is located in the Rai Dighi South, 24 Parganas, West Bengal. Traditionally, this temple is associated with an inscription of King Jayanta Chandra. This inscription was issued by King Jayanta Chandra in 1975 AD. Apart from this, it is also considered to be of 10th-11th century AD on the basis of architecture. This temple is considered very rich in terms of architecture. According to ASI, in the terms of architecture, Jatar Deul is similar to the Siddheswar temple located in Bankura district of West Bengal. Recently, Egypt has announced a series of new archaeological discoveries. It also includes a mummy of 4,300 years old. This mummy has been discovered by the famous Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass. It has been discovered near the pyramids of Giza at a place called the Saqqara Necropolis. According to experts, this may be the oldest and most complete mummy ever found in Egypt. It is identified with a person named Hikasheps. Archaeologists say it was discovered inside a large rectangular limestone sarcophagus in a room at the bottom of a deep shaft. This sarcophagus was covered with gold leaf. According to the archaeologists, stones and many utensils have been found around the mummy, which has been sealed by the investigation team after finding it. Basically, a sarcophagus is a box-shaped funeral vessel usually made of stone. Mostly it remains visible above the ground, but it can also be completely buried under the earth. The director of the excavation team described the oldest mummy as part of an important discovery of a group of tombs from the 5th and 6th dynasties. According to Hawass, the most important of the new discoveries is a tomb that belonged to Khnum-Jidef, the last king of the 5th dynasty. The tomb of Khnum-Jidef is decorated with inscriptions from daily lives. Let us tell you that after the death of a person, preserving his dead body with the help of chemicals is known as mummification. To make a mummy, first of all, the moisture of the dead body is removed. It is used to take several days to do this. The dead body was wrapped with cotton strips after the moisture was gone from the body. After this, wooden coffins matching the shape of the body were prepared and painted. After the completion of this work, religious sentences are written on the coffin and kept on the platform by the religious teacher through a ceremony. Let us now look at the 5 questions based on the bulletin.
Questions for this series are: first question is, with reference to the annual financial statement of the financial year 2023-24, consider the following statements. 1. In this, the effective revenue deficit for the current financial year has been estimated at 1.7% of the GDP. 2. It talks about the eradication of the sickle cell anemia by the year 2050. 3. For the development of tribal groups, Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma Kaushal Samman Yojana has been announced. Which of the above statement or statements is or are correct? 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, or all of the above? Next question is, consider the following statements. 1. Recently, Indian Institute of Science Bangalore got a total of 145 patents in its name. 2. All trademarks in India are protected by the Trademark Act 1999. 3. Patents on medicines were started in India from the year 2005. Which of the above statement or statements is or are incorrect? 1 only, 2 only, 1 and 2 only, or 2 and 3 only? Next question is, consider the following statements with reference to a new plateau discovered recently in India. 1. It is a low-altitude basalt plateau. 2. It has been discovered in the Thane region of the Western Ghats. 3. It has been listed as the 4th type of plateau. 4. Earlier, only 3 types of plateaus were known in the Western Ghats. Which of the above statements are correct? 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 4 only, or all of the above? Next question is, with reference to the Indus Water Treaty, consider the following statements. 1. It was concluded in the year 1960 with the mediation of the World Bank between India and Pakistan. 2. There is a provision for the appointment of a neutral expert under this. 3. Under this, the control of Jhelum, Indus and Chenab is with India. Which of the above statement or statements is or are correct? 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 3 only, or 1 and 3 only? Recently, a survey has been started regarding migrant people in Jharkhand. It has been started in all the districts of the state. It has been named Jharkhand Migrant Survey or JMS. Its purpose is to identify the major areas related to migrant workers of the state. It also aims to ascertain the social security benefits being provided to their families and also identify their health hazards. The initiative is part of the state's Safe and Responsible Migration Initiative or SRMI, which was launched in the year 2021. Significantly, through this initiative, a database of migrant workers is being prepared. The iconic Mughal garden in Rashtrapati Bhavan has been renamed recently. Under the new change, now all the gardens located in Rashtrapati Bhavan will be collectively identified as Amrit Udyan. The Mughal gardens were built at the insistence of Lady Hardinge, wife of the then Viceroy. It is said to have been inspired by Constance Villiers Stewart's book Gardens of the Great Mughals 1913. It has been built in Charbagh style under Mughal art. The plantation of plants in this garden was started in 1928-29. Its initial director was William Musto. He was particularly adept at growing roses and is said to have planted more than 250 different varieties of hybrid roses in this garden from all over the world. National Law University Delhi has released a report titled Death Penalty in India Annual Statistics Report 2022. This report is a part of a Project 39A of this institution. According to the report, since 2015, there has been a 40% increase in the number of death row prisoners by 2022. Also in the year 2022, 165 people have been sentenced to death by trial courts. This figure is the highest in the last 2 decades. Union Minister Shri Anurag Thakur and Minister of State Sushri Meenakshi Lekhi inaugurated the 5-day SCO Film Festival in Mumbai. Eminent film personalities were honored at the function. The promo of the animation series Bharat Hai Hum was released on this occasion. A total of 57 films were screened at the SCO Film Festival, with 14 films nominated in the competition section of the festival, including Banalin's Oscar-nominated Gujarati film Cello Show and Nikhil Mahajan's award-winning Marathi film Godavari. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi addressed the function organized on the occasion of 1111th Avtaran Mahotsav of Lord Shri Dev Narayan Ji in Bhilwara, Rajasthan. Significantly, Lord Shri Dev Narayan Ji is worshipped by the people of Rajasthan, and his followers are spread all across the country. They are especially honored for their works of public service. IISc has been proposed as the first biodiversity heritage site of Ladakh. It is situated at an altitude of 4,820 meters and is known as a bird's paradise because of its beautiful lake. IISc is the natural habitat for bar-headed goose, black-necked crane and Brahmini duck and black-necked crane. The proposed IISc site will have an area of approximately 60 square kilometers, including the watershed of the lake. C.V. Raju is also one of the Padma awardees. He is the manufacturer of Atikopaka toy craft. Mr. Raju is among the 7 persons from Andhra Pradesh who have been selected for the Padma Awards announced by the Union Home Ministry. Atikopaka toys were also praised by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his Mann Ki Baat program. Significantly, Atikopaka represents the traditional toy industry, which is made from soft woods and natural dyes. Recently, the Ministry of Development of Northeast Region has organized an orientation session for its officers and staff under the Har Ghar Dhyan campaign. During this session, the participants were sensitized towards mental and emotional health. Along with this, they were introduced to the simple and easy to follow method of meditation and were provided with information about self-improvement. Significantly, the Har Ghar Dhyan campaign has been started by the Ministry of Culture and the Art of Living Foundation. Its objective is to introduce the youth to the practice of meditation for the well-being of their mental health. Union Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said that the country's first hydrogen train will start by December 2023. These hydrogen trains will be known as Vande Metro on the lines of Vande Bharat train. Let us tell you that in the budget 2023-24, rupees 2.41 lakh crore has been allocated for the railways. Experts are considering the initiative of running hydrogen trains as an important step of India in the direction of green initiative. Recently, Secretary Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology Alkesh Kumar Sharma inaugurated the G20 Cyber Security Exercise and Drill in New Delhi. The exercise and drill was organized by the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team or CERT-IN. The event has been organized under the G20 chairmanship of India for over 400 domestic and international participants with the aim of achieving joint resilience to counter cyber attacks. It is noteworthy that participants from more than 12 countries joined the exercise through online mode.